In today's Encore 55 podcast, if you think it's impossible, if you think it's insurmountable, you need to talk to my next guest because she can do anything she sets her mind to. Mary Kolk, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. You are an odds defier. You are a pioneer. Back in the 60s, when everyone was telling you your husband's diabetes was insurmountable and there's nothing else we can do except pump more drugs into him, you figured this out, the natural way to balance this condition well before all of this other stuff was coming around. This was the 60s, so we're going back decades ago. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, my husband was diagnosed at 40 years old with type 2 diabetes. Went to see his doctor all the time, and he was getting more and more sick. Then at one point, back in like 2000 or somewhere in that area, the doctor said, "There's nothing more I can do for you, Dick. You have to go to see an endocrinologist," and this kind of thing. So
Sure.
I went with him. They put him on 5 units of insulin. By the time a couple of months went by, he was on 43 units of insulin. He had gained, probably 100 pounds. And one night, I happened to pick up a book that was laying on my bedside table. Don't know how it got there. Don't remember buying it. And I don't think it was a library book. Otherwise, I'd be in debt up to my ears but with fees. But I picked up the books. As soon as I started to read it, 3 pages, 4 pages in, I realized this was going to change our lives.
Now,
and it did.
In your class, you've taught classes about how to naturally overcome these conditions, these chronic conditions. Tell me a little bit about the class. Now that we know that you've proved the formula, tell me a little bit about what you go over in the class.
Well, what I go over in the class, Ted, is that everything that I learned, I want everyone to know what I know.
You learned by hook and crook.
I learned by study.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
But you're right. I love a challenge. I always have. I had 5 children, so you can imagine I do love a challenge. So
I gave up at 3.
But the prospect of helping him with his diabetes was overwhelming. So in the class, I teach everything. It's an 8-hour class.
Yeah.
And it is peppered with, I'm a gal from Seven Hills. I've learned this. I've taught it. You need to take this information to your doctor and say, will this work for me? I try to tell people that they should question everything when they go to a doctor. It's not like, when we were in Catholic school, it was yes, sister, no, sister, right? Don't
There's
do that
good
with your doctor.
plumbers and bad plumbers. There's good
That's right.
doctors and bad doctors.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I will tell you one fellow that I particularly remember. He came back to talk to my diabetes class, and he said, when I first came to this class, he said, I thought, what is she going to teach me that the doctors haven't taught me? He said, believe me, people, she knows what she's doing. And then he went on to tell people how he had lost 57.5 pounds, how his left leg that was always larger than his right leg is now the same after he followed what I was telling him.
Living testimonials.
It was wonderful. And I love the testimonials because it's why I do it. It's why I do it.
But this is not the only thing that you've pioneered in. Right after fixing diabetes.
Yes. Well, took a little longer. The impossible takes a little longer.
Then you got into all kinds of things in the private sector, right? You were ahead of the curve on video making videos for weddings and so on and so forth. You were one of the first people to start doing that. You had this incredible ahead of its time software that was helping people with all kinds of things. And you were so far ahead of the curve, no one understood that either.
That's correct.
So you kind of are a pioneer, and I think that's inspired a lot of your class material, if I may be so bold. Tell me about some of your other classes that you've done.
Well, over in the past, I've been doing classes for over 20 years now. And in the past, I've done a class on Big Pharma, the pulling back the curtain on the business of healthcare, which I find to be very interesting. And I've done classes on statin medications, which I find to be very tricky. Also, currently now I'm doing one that I'm very excited about is historic sites hidden in plain sight.
Ooh.
Which is really fun.
Tell me a little bit about that. Is that here locally, like
yes,
local
yes,
Cleveland?
I will be teaching that, I believe, for Encore at the end of the month. We're going to be doing one of those. And that's a very exciting class because there's wonderful historic sites that you pass by every day, never knowing it's a historic site until somebody says, hey, over there, that's where that happened. Really?
Oh,
for example,
yes,
the Society National Bank building. I don't know if they still call it that or not, but that's been, renovated a number of times. But on the corner there is where Charles Brush invented the first filament light bulb and he tried it out there, okay, and it lit up the whole street. And so he went ahead and put 12 of them all around the square, and they called Cleveland at that time the City of Lights.
Wow.
Now, there's not even, that I know of, a historic marker there on the corner of Society National Bank and the square. But when you're standing there waiting for a bus, understand, this is where the first electric light bulb went, okay, to light up a city. And he went all over the country and actually all over the world. Brush High School is named after him. Quite an inventor. Really great.
This goes a little bit beyond like things you would have learned in school had you been paying attention. Yes. These are some really rare things that it's not just like, oh, well, this is where the Rockefeller Mansion was or something like that.
Right,
You've got some real... Oh, I'm excited for that class. I hope you teach that often.
May I share one more with you?
Please.
One that's coming up in this coming class that I'm very excited about. It's called the Big Ear. The Big Ear.
The Big Ear.
And if anybody wants to really know what it is, they need to come to my class.
Doesn't have anything to do with headphones.
No.
Oh, you're teasing me.
Yeah.
Okay, now we've got... Well... But you're not the only woman pioneer that you talk about. There's some other things that you talk about in your classes.
Yes, I also talk about the feminine spirit.
Intriguing.
I was a product of the 40s. I was born in 1941, which makes me about 36 right now. But
math is not a strong suit.
Right. Well, who needs math? But you look back on our schooling, we never really learned about the feminine movements. That was something, was very quiet. Back in 1848, the women's first convention, Katie Stanton and a few other wonderful women got together and said, this has got to change, okay?
This is a little bit deeper than just the woman's suffragette movement.
That's correct.
So I interrupted. Please tell me about these two ladies.
Well, they just... and Elizabeth Mott, they were the people who actually started this feminist movement. When the colonists came over in the 1700s or whatever, again, I'm not great in math, but they came over and they brought with them all the culture from the England. And there was this wonderful fellow by the name of Blackstone, William Blackstone, who wrote the treatise on what women should be, all right? And they carried that over with them. And so when women, saw that we did the Declaration of Independence and the men got the vote and they couldn't vote, that was very difficult. And I'll tell you what's really sad is that as we go through it, those two women, and we'll just focus on them for a moment, they worked for a long, long time, but never saw the vote. We did not get the vote. Women did not get the vote until 1920.
1920.
Only 20 years before I was born. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I took the vote for granted.
Well, you grew up with it.
Yes.
And so do you talk at all about where women are in society now? Do you have any feelings about that one way or another?
Yes, that is what I would call the second wave. And I believe we taught the first wave here at Tri-C in the Encore program. And we're going to be offering it in the spring or I'm sorry, I don't really know. I think it is in the winter.
Listen, let's hope, Lee, that whenever people are watching this, that they'll be able to get to it, right? They'll be able to see it if it's 6 years from now or 6 months from now.
Yes, okay.
Let's have you keep coming back to teaching these classes as often as possible.
It's very important that
Tell me
we
about
understand.
the second wave.
The second wave happened with Betty Friedan and the feminine mystique. And she could see, you know,
this is late 60s, early 70s.
1963, as a matter of fact, was when her book came out, and followed, of course, by Gloria Steinem, who created Ms. Magazine. And it said, hey, we're here. We have talent. We have things we want to offer the world. And you're keeping us in the home, and which is great. I have no problem. Said I raised 5 children, you know. Well, I didn't do it by myself. I had to help. My husband helped. But still, you know, what I see today is the change of the culture. I have grandsons who have gone off to college and are married and have a couple of children, and they do they take care of the children. They help to, you know what I mean? They've got hands on. They make the dinners.
Sure.
In my day, you had dinner at 5 o'clock when he came home. Okay. You made sure it was on the table. All right.
Was there a martini waiting too?
Oh, no. I also talk about the music of the time with Jack Jones, the wonderful song about wives and lovers. And you probably are not familiar, but it made like the top 10 for a long time in the 60s. And that had to do with, don't send him off with your hair in curlers. You may not see him again. Run to his arms when he comes home to you. There's girls at the office. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And it kind of really tells our story about women's issues.
Yeah.
You know?
There's always room for improvement in everything that we do, and I think ultimately, men and women have skills and abilities and innate talents that when we're truly complementary to one another, wonderful things happen. Beautiful children become loving, responsible members of society, and so on and so forth. So,
I agree.
Now, but you have a little bit. I find this class intriguing, and I want to talk about it. Your Starlight and Shadows, and tell me a little bit about this class, because this is more popular entertainment. It's something that you wouldn't think that somebody like you would be involved in, but it's really your approach to it is fabulous. Please.
You know, I have a curiosity that doesn't end. And so I can't say where my, interests would end. Like, for example, I'm very curious about physics. I think it's an amazing subject. And when you talk and sit with a physicist and listen about how things happen and, that type of thing. So the one that you're referring to, the Starlight and
Shadows.
Shadows, thank you. I've got curiosity, but I don't have a brain. But what happens is that
don't sell yourself short.
We're going to be talking about the movie stars of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right up until the 80s. Because our demographic here at Tri-C is always the older people. And sometimes you will watch the Academy Awards and go, who is that? What is that? So we're going to kind of focus on things like Gary Cooper, Cary Grant. One of the reasons, just to give you, we want to look at the glitz and the glamour that they felt.
Yeah.
How wonderful it was to be a movie star.
Yeah.
And what's the dark side?
Yeah. There's always the unbridled freedom without consequence leads to all kinds of interesting.
Exactly.
Tell me some of these tawdry things that happened.
Well, for one thing, Cary Grant, he had a lot of depression. He had a very difficult childhood. And we will go into that in the class about what happened with his mom and that kind of a thing. So he was always looking for security and all. He also was depressed. And you wouldn't believe it to look at his movies. But so they did put him on LSD for a while, thinking that would help. And that was very therapeutic. It was not something a lot of people would say, Cary Grant was on LSD most of his life. No, he wasn't. He went to his physicians. They decided to give him that to try to help him.
I was going to say, if I'm remembering my history back in the 40s or whenever this was, that wasn't illegal per se. It was prescription, but it wasn't illegal.
He didn't actually do it in the 40s, if I may correct you on that. He did it near the late 50s, middle 60s. No, yeah, around middle 60s, because they just couldn't shake that depression for him.
Had they outlawed it by that point?
No, not.
Okay,
excuse me, not for therapeutics.
Right.
You couldn't go around the street and get some. That would be that's an outlawed, but the LSD, and they're finding more and more that it can be, and I'm not trying to say people should go out and get LSD, but when you see now in the medical books, they're talking more and more about how that may be a game changer for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, that one I would say we are going to need, instead of pioneers trying to figure it out for themselves, I think we should have that.
Absolutely.
With trained medical people.
Absolutely.
If we're going to be using it for beneficial or medicinal purposes or whatever, that's
exactly.
Always open to those things. But
let me just finish about Cary Grant, because I loved Cary Grant. Okay.
Yeah.
He made movies right up until his 60s. All right. And he was a leading man and the whole thing. What caused him to quit movies? Just cold turkey. Wouldn't take, no matter whatever price they offered him, was when he became a father. They had his daughter, Jennifer. He said, I want to be a father. And he would take her to school and he would do the cooking and he would just, it was wonderful.
Well, your priorities change and maybe artistically he'd said everything he wanted to say. Well,
he was 62 by this time.
Okay.
He was a late comer when it came to fatherhood, but he found that this was what he was always looking for.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, there's nothing deeper than family and the things that we do to help our family move forward. It always amazes me, the stories I hear, the good, the bad, the tragic things that we do to help one another. It's a fabulous thing. You don't have to, but I'm going to beg you, if anyone has followed this podcast this far, I'm going to ask you to give me the secret of the big ear.
The big ear was a huge piece of equipment about the size of a football field. It was done down in Columbus and by a professor at Ohio State. I believe his name was Dr. Krause. And he laid out this amazing apparatus, and with the help of a lot of professors and students at that time at Ohio State. It was somewhere in the 60s. And they also had this very unique kind of things that was going to catch. What it was all about was trying to get the word from the extraterrestrials. And they were going to capture signals there. And what's really amazing, and I'll give away my big, but what's really amazing is that they have the wow factor. So you see the printout, it's all ones and twos or whatever, and it's just being printed out like normal. And all of a sudden there is this code that shows up. And they have yet to figure out what it means. And it's in that circles, it's called the wow factor. Because what is it?
But there's evidence that this was an intelligence that sent. This is not just random numbers. That's why we can't figure it out.
That's right. And to this day, now it unfortunately there was a corporation. It was the golf course that bought this area from them. And, John Denver used to have a song about they're tearing down Paradise to put up a parking lot. Well, they tore down this wonderful apparatus and put up nine more holes of golf, unfortunately. But there is a marker, and there's lots of, what I have is a lot of photographs of this.
We can find more of this in the histories, mysteries right in front of you. What is it called?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wondering what you're referring to. Is there a book that
Historic places
hidden in plain sight.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
It's fun kind of a class.
Thanks for being with us today, Mary. Please come back soon.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Ted.